Hey guys, so yesterday I made a Knight's Edge Soul Eater video talking about some of the advanced techniques that you can min-max your DPS with. I'll have a video link up in the top left and also in the description if you haven't checked that out yet. But somebody in the comments actually brought up a point where they're like, oh, I think that something you're missing out on is awakening right after you throw out your guillotine. That way it empowers your Reaper Scythe, but also gives you Nightmare before your guillotine lands and any of your major damage skills. So in a sense, that would give you an extra empowered pink skill, and that would increase your damage, right? Well, in actuality, unfortunately, that is not the case. So I explained in the text why that is not the case. The reasoning is that you actually lose out on an extra Reaper Scythe. But I thought that the text explanation was a little bit confusing, and people that came on my stream later also had some of the same questions. And I figured that since there's so many people who are wondering about what the ideal rotation is and why you wouldn't want an extra pink skill, an empowered pink skill there, I wanted to just highlight that clip from the stream last night. So let's head into it. So I think that has to do with the fundamentals of how the Knight's Edge engraving works. So what Knight's Edge engraving does is it gives your Death Lord skills an additional 50%. And I think it's like every time you use, as you can see here, the edge meter increases by 30% when using enhanced Death Lord skill, right? So when you're doing what you say, right? Do this, that, and then, you know, we reset our cooldowns, right? We throw in our guillotine there, do this, do the whole rotation, and then get a Reaper Scythe in, and then follow up with our normal rotation, right? And then I'm going to go follow up with my regular rotation, and then I do this, right? So I'm in Soul Snatch mode right now, but do you notice my Reaper Scythe is actually still off cooldown because I didn't get to use it. Whereas if I didn't use that first empowered Reaper Scythe, right? If you do the rotation like this, right? And then we'll do our normal rotation. You go into here, you go into that. You do this, and then that, you get your second Reaper Scythe in. When you empower the first Reaper Scythe, you only get to throw in one Scythe. If you don't empower it, you get to throw in two. And with how the engraving works, your empowered Reaper Scythe only does 50% extra damage. Whereas if you're throwing in two, that's an extra 100% damage, right? Because you're throwing an entirely additional skill. So that's why, in my opinion, that doesn't really work very well. Because you're actually losing out on 50% damage by doing the rotation that you're doing. And then like, oh, I'll throw in the empowered Reaper Scythe. When in actuality, when you do that, you're actually losing out on damage. So as you saw from that clip, throwing out that extra enhanced pink skill actually reduces the amount of damage you do in your rotation because the Knight's Edge engraving itself only makes your skill do 50% damage more if you have it empowered, as opposed to if you were to do the normal rotation, you'd actually get out 2 Reaper Scythe in the rotation, essentially making your damage 200% instead of 150%. So that's the end of the question, right? We pretty much went out, experimented, proved it, and put a stamp on it. Well, actually, that's not quite the case. While it is true that the double Reaper Scythe does, at the end of the day, still do more damage than the enhanced Reaper Scythe rotation, somebody on my comments today actually posted a very interesting finding. They did a test in Trixion, testing out the damage between an unempowered Reaper Scythe versus an empowered Reaper Scythe, and the numbers weren't exactly 50%. Now, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I don't know how much this person tested it, how many times they did it, maybe there's some variance, so I wanted to test it myself. So these are the results I came up with. Of course, again, I did a 10 trial series where I tested all of it. This time I actually put my crit rate to the max and then did precise dagger just so we had the highest amount of crit chance we could. And also, of course, stacked the adrenaline stacks to 6 and had adrenaline 3. That way there was not any as little variance as possible. And these are the numbers that I came out with. So the unempowered Reaper Scythe did on average about 32 mil damage. And the empowered Reaper Scythe did about 58 million damage on average. And it comes out to be an 81% increase as opposed to a 50% increase. So it's not exactly 50% as it says in the skill description, the engraving description. Now, one thing that I don't know for sure is like, how does that 50% skill damage increase that the engraving actually say calculate with all your different other engravings, with your attack power, with everything, right? Maybe it's not necessarily a 50% increase on the final number, but maybe it's a 50% increase on like that raw number that goes in before the calculations are applied with all of your engravings. I'm not entirely sure, but this is the number we came out with, and it's actually not exactly 50%. It's actually a bit higher, but at the same time, it's still not 100%, which means at the end of the day, while the damage differential between the Empowered Reaper Scythe and the Double Reaper Scythe rotation isn't as big of a difference, the Double Reaper Scythe at the end of the day still is going to be the more powerful option. So hopefully that helps clear up any misunderstandings or misconceptions about the Empowered Pink skills and the Knight's Edge engraving as a whole. As always, if you have any other questions that you'd like to get answered, leave them down in the comment section down below, or you can hop on to my stream. I stream every night at 10 p.m. PST, twitch.tv/misoxshiru, as well as multi-streaming on YouTube as well. Additionally, this Friday, we are having a big giveaway stream. So I'm going to be giving away 2 $100 Steam gift cards so you can use it on Lost Ark. So anybody who's followed is going to be eligible to win that giveaway. So come to my stream on Friday, hit that follow button, and enter for your chance to win a Steam gift card. But as always, please, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, hit the sub button, ring the bell for notifications, and if I don't see you on the stream, hopefully I'll see y'all on the next video. All right, guys, peace out.